The matrix of existence responds to your presence in real time, creating a continuous feedback loop between consciousness and experience. Have you ever noticed how some days everything flows perfectly while other days seem filled with obstacles? This isn't random chance. Reality is not a fixed structure you move through, it's a living field responding to your presence. Every thought you hold, every emotion you emit sends a signal into this field, shaping what returns to you. The quantum field isn't separate from you, it's activated by you, constantly reading and responding to the frequencies you broadcast. This audiobook reveals the hidden architecture of existence, where consciousness directly interfaces with the quantum fabric of reality. What ancient wisdom traditions have taught for millennia, quantum physics now confirms. The observer and the observed are intimately connected in ways that defy conventional understanding. The boundaries between mind and matter, between inner and outer worlds, are far more permeable than we've been led to believe. In the next few minutes, you'll discover how the patterns around you aren't coincidences, but reflections, encoded responses to your internal state. Those synchronicities, those perfect timings, those meaningful coincidences that appear in your life are actually feedback loops from the quantum field, showing you where your consciousness is focused. You'll learn to recognize the code that's always been active beneath the noise, waiting to be felt rather than figured out. The Quantum Enlivenment Code isn't about acquiring something new, but becoming aware of what's already operating. It's about decoding the living matrix that surrounds you and learning to communicate with it consciously rather than unconsciously. By the end, you'll understand how to move beyond reacting to life and step into conscious creation of your reality, not as a metaphysical concept, but as your lived experience. Are you ready to decode the living matrix? Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Living Matrix. Reality as a responsive field. Imagine walking through a field of tall grass. As you move, the grass parts before you, responding to your presence. This simple experience reveals a profound truth: the physical world responds to you. Yet the response goes far deeper than physical interaction. The world you see isn't separate from you, it's synchronized with the frequency you embody. Quantum physics has revealed that at the subatomic level, what appears as solid matter is actually vibrating energy in constant motion. These energy patterns respond not just to physical forces, but to consciousness itself. The matrix of existence responds to your presence in real time, creating a continuous feedback loop between consciousness and experience. For decades, scientists at Princeton University's Engineering Anomalies Research Lab conducted experiments showing that human consciousness can influence random event generators at statistically significant rates. Dr. William Tiller from Stanford University demonstrated that intention can measurably change the properties of physical systems. These aren't fringe findings, but carefully documented evidence that consciousness influences physical reality. This responsive field helps explain why seemingly random events often reflect internal patterns. That streak of challenges might actually be the field responding to an unconscious belief. Those fortuitous coincidences align with your deepest desires and intentions. The field doesn't judge what you project, it simply mirrors and amplifies the dominant frequencies you broadcast. To begin perceiving the responsive nature of your environment, start with simple awareness exercises. For 1 week, maintain a synchronicity journal. Note when meaningful coincidences occur, when thoughts manifest as events, when needed resources appear unexpectedly, when patterns repeat. Look for connections between your mental and emotional state before these occurrences. Next, practice intentional observation. Choose a small area of your life, perhaps your morning routine or interactions with a specific person. Set a clear intention for how you want this area to flow. Then observe how reality responds when you maintain this intention consistently, without doubt or attachment. As you become more attuned to the living matrix, you'll notice subtle shifts in your environment preceding changes in circumstance. The field always gives signs before manifestations appear fully formed, like weather patterns before a storm. These aren't random events, but the quantum field responding to the signals you're sending, both consciously and unconsciously. Chapter 2. The Observer Effect. Consciousness as the Hidden Variable. In 1801, physicist Thomas Young performed what would become one of the most important experiments in scientific history. By shining light through two parallel slits onto a screen, he observed an interference pattern, evidence that light behaves as a wave. Yet when later scientists placed detectors at the slits to observe which slit each photon passed through, something remarkable happened. The interference pattern disappeared, and light behaved as particles instead. The act of observation fundamentally changes what is observed, revealing reality's malleable nature. This phenomenon, known as the double-slit experiment, demonstrates that particles exist in a state of superposition, multiple potential states simultaneously until observed or measured. Only then do they collapse into a single definite state. This suggests our reality only exists as we observe it, like a video game that renders only the areas where the player is looking. Physicist John Wheeler proposed the delayed choice quantum eraser experiment, which showed that the act of observation can retroactively determine particle behavior even after they've already passed through the apparatus. The implications are staggering. Consciousness doesn't just influence reality now, but can affect how events manifest across time. How does this apply to your daily experience? Reality literally renders based on where you place your attention. The aspects of life you focus on most consistently become more prominent in your experience. This isn't just psychological, but the quantum field responding to your observational focus. You've likely experienced this. When you buy a new car, suddenly you notice that same model everywhere. When you learn a new word, it appears frequently in conversations. Your brain has a filtering system called the reticular activating system that highlights what you've deemed important while filtering out everything else. The neurological expression of the observer effect operating through your nervous system. The scientific community continues to find evidence challenging purely materialist views. Max Planck, father of quantum theory, stated, "I regard consciousness as fundamental. We cannot get behind consciousness." Sir James Jeans concluded, "The universe begins to look more like a great thought than like a great machine." To harness the observer effect in daily life, begin by becoming conscious of what you're observing. Your attention is like a spotlight. Whatever it illuminates grows more prominent in your experience. Start each day by intentionally directing your attention toward what you want to experience more of, rather than what you want to avoid. Practice sustained observation of positive developments. When something beneficial appears, no matter how small, give it your full attention. Describe it in detail, feel gratitude for it, tell others about it. This instructs the quantum field to bring more of this experience into your reality. Equally important is withdrawing attention from what you don't want to experience. This doesn't mean denial, it means acknowledging challenges while refusing to feed them with prolonged focus. Simply observe. This exists, but it's not where I'm placing my attention. By mastering the observer effect, you'll find yourself less at the mercy of circumstances and more in partnership with a living field, not controlling reality, but participating in its continuous creation through the power of consciousness. Chapter 3. Quantum Entanglement. The Invisible Web of Connection. Albert Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. His reluctant acknowledgement of quantum entanglement, a phenomenon so bizarre he hoped it would eventually be disproven. Today, quantum entanglement isn't theoretical, it's demonstrable fact, verified through thousands of experiments, revealing a universe far more connected than we ever imagined. Beneath the apparent chaos of existence, an invisible thread weaves all things together, allowing instant communication beyond space and time. When two particles become entangled, they form a single system. Change the spin of one particle. Its partner instantaneously changes its spin to maintain the relationship even if separated by the entire universe. In 2022, physicist Anton Zeilinger won the Nobel Prize for conclusively demonstrating this phenomenon. What's fascinating is that entanglement isn't limited to quantum particles. It operates at all scales of reality, including your consciousness and its relationship with the world around you. Your thoughts, emotions, and intentions aren't isolated within your skull. They're entangled with the quantum field, sending ripples through the fabric of existence. Those moments when you think of someone and they call immediately, when you need something specific and it appears unexpectedly, when synchronicities cluster around a new interest, these aren't mere coincidences, but glimpses of entanglement operating at the human scale. Research at the Institute of Heart Math has shown that human heart rhythms can influence random number generators, and that one person's brainwaves can directly affect another's nervous system at a distance. Studies on telepathy, remote viewing, and distant healing consistently show results that defy conventional explanation but make perfect sense when viewed through the lens of quantum entanglement. Your consciousness extends beyond physical boundaries, entangled with everything you've ever encountered and will encounter. This explains why intention-setting practices work. They create quantum entanglement between your current and desired states, establishing resonant pathways for manifestation. To consciously utilize these entanglement connections, start with coherent intention practices. Each morning, take 5 minutes to envision your desired outcomes with rich sensory detail. Don't just visualize, feel the emotional state of your desired reality. This creates entanglement between your current and future states, establishing resonant pathways for manifestation. Next, practice relationship entanglement awareness. Before important conversations or meetings, establish a conscious, energetic connection with the other person. Set an intention for mutual understanding and beneficial outcomes. Watch how interactions unfold with unexpected ease when approached this way. Finally, explore non-local healing techniques. When concerned about loved ones at a distance, send specific helpful emotions rather than worry. Research in distant healing intention has shown measurable effects when practitioners direct focused, compassionate intention toward others, regardless of physical separation. The key to working with entanglement is recognizing that separation is the illusion, connection is the reality. As physicist David Bohm proposed, the universe operates as a hologram where every part contains information about the whole. Your consciousness isn't isolated, but a localized expression of the universal field, inherently connected to all points in space and time. Chapter 4. The frequency of being, vibrational reality. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately sensed the atmosphere, the heaviness of tension, or the lightness of joy before anyone spoke? What you experienced wasn't imaginary, but a direct perception of vibrational frequency. Your body, thoughts, and emotions are made of the same subatomic particles that exhibit entanglement, broadcasting frequencies into the quantum field. These aren't metaphorical frequencies, they're measurable electromagnetic patterns emitted by your heart, brain, and cellular structures, radiating outward like ripples in a pond. HeartMath Institute research has demonstrated that the human heart generates an electromagnetic field extending 8 to 10 feet beyond the body, the largest electromagnetic field produced by any organ. This field changes dramatically based on emotional states. Feelings of frustration or anxiety create chaotic, incoherent patterns, while emotions like appreciation, gratitude, and compassion generate highly ordered, coherent waveforms. These coherent patterns don't just affect your physiology, they influence brain rhythms and heart patterns of people nearby through entrainment. More remarkably, these fields contain encoded information that extends into the quantum field, attracting resonant experiences back into your life. Your heart actually sends more signals to your brain than vice versa, and these signals significantly influence perception, decision-making, and intuitive processes. When heart and brain achieve coherence aligned, harmonious oscillation, cognitive function improves, stress hormone levels decrease, and immune function enhances. Similar frequencies naturally attract and amplify each other through resonance. You've experienced this when a particular mood seems to attract matching circumstances. Anxiety creates more situations to be anxious about, while confidence tends to create experiences that validate confidence. This isn't magical thinking, but physics like frequencies coming together through resonant attraction. To consciously elevate your vibrational state, start with coherence breathing. Practice slow, rhythmic breathing 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out while focusing attention on your heart area. After establishing this rhythm, activate a genuine feeling of appreciation for something specific in your life. This simple practice creates measurable coherence between heart and brain rhythms, shifting your electromagnetic broadcast from chaos to harmony. Next, conduct a frequency audit of your information environment. Notice how different media, conversations, and environments affect your energetic state. Begin consciously curating your inputs, eliminating sources that consistently lower your vibration and increasing exposure to those that elevate it. Finally, practice emotional alchemy, the conscious transformation of lower vibrational states into higher ones. When you notice yourself in fear, anger, or despair, don't suppress these emotions. Instead, acknowledge them fully, then deliberately shift to a slightly better feeling state. This isn't about forcing positivity, but about gradually elevating your frequency through authentic emotional movement. Remember that vibrational reality operates through consistency rather than intensity. Brief moments of high vibration followed by hours of complaint or worry won't create lasting change. What matters is your dominant frequency over time, the electromagnetic patterns you consistently broadcast into the field. Chapter 5. The Power of Stillness. Accessing the zero-point field. In the heart of the atom lies a paradox, the zero-point field, a realm of infinite potential energy existing even at absolute zero temperature. Quantum physicists describe it as the fertile void from which all matter emerges, containing all possibilities simultaneously. What's fascinating is that this same field becomes accessible through the practice of genuine stillness. Stillness creates a field around you that becomes dense with potential, causing the quantum field to become alert to your state. This isn't ordinary relaxation, but a profound quiet where mental chatter ceases and presence intensifies. In this state, you're no longer broadcasting the static of habitual thought patterns, but creating space for new possibilities to emerge. The zero-point resonance field exists as the core of pure potential where all possibilities exist simultaneously. It's not a physical location, but a vibrational state you can access through intentional stillness. From this center, timelines are born and outcomes are shaped, not through effortful doing, but through aligned being. Modern society values constant action and motion, teaching that results come through doing, pushing, and making things happen. But quantum physics reveals a counterintuitive truth: stillness is more powerful than forced action because it allows you to align with underlying field dynamics rather than fighting against them. Consider how nature operates. The seed doesn't strive to become a tree, it enters a state of receptive stillness, allowing inner intelligence to unfold through it. The ocean doesn't struggle to create waves, it responds to forces flowing through it. The most profound creativity emerges not from frantic activity, but from states of deep receptivity. When you enter genuine stillness, the constant broadcast of your usual thought patterns temporarily ceases. This quieting allows the quantum field to recalibrate to your core intentions rather than your surface anxieties. It's like turning off a noisy engine to hear the subtle sounds that were always present but masked by the clamor. There's an important distinction between passive and active stillness. Passive stillness is merely the absence of movement, a temporary pause before returning to the same patterns. Active stillness is alive with presence and intention, a dynamic state where awareness is heightened and receptivity is maximized. It's not about doing nothing, but about entering a state of alert receptivity where your system can reorganize around higher coherence. To access deeper states of generative silence, Begin with the practice of embodied presence. Several times daily, pause whatever you're doing and bring full attention to your sensory experience, the feeling of your breath, the weight of your body, the sounds around you. This interrupts the automatic pilot of your mind and anchors awareness in the present moment. Next, practice intentional stillness sessions. Start with just 5 minutes daily of sitting in complete silence, no music, no guidance, no techniques. Simply be with whatever arises without trying to change it. Gradually extend these sessions to 15 minutes. These aren't meditation sessions with goals, but opportunities to experience the fertile void of pure potential. Finally, incorporate the quantum pause before important decisions or conversations. Take 3 conscious breaths, allowing your system to settle. In this brief stillness, set a clear intention for the highest outcome for all involved. Then proceed from this centered state, remaining receptive to unexpected possibilities rather than forcing predetermined results. As you cultivate regular contact with stillness, you'll notice subtle yet significant shifts. Solutions appear spontaneously for problems you've been struggling with. Synchronicities increase. Relationships evolve with less effort. These aren't magical effects, but the natural results of accessing the 0 point field, the realm of pure potential from which more coherent patterns can emerge. Chapter 6. The Subconscious Antenna. Programming your internal broadcast. Did you know you make approximately 35,000 decisions every day, yet you're only consciously aware of about 100 of them? The rest occur beneath the threshold of awareness, directed by your subconscious mind, the hidden programmer of your reality. Your subconscious mind governs 95% of your behavior, continuously transmitting frequencies into the quantum field that shape your reality. It operates like an autonomous broadcasting station, sending signals 24 hours a day based on programming you may have received decades ago. This subconscious antenna doesn't distinguish between helpful or harmful, empowering or limiting, simply executes the programs it contains with perfect fidelity. When your conscious desires conflict with subconscious programming, the subconscious wins every time, not because it's more powerful, but because it operates automatically while conscious intention requires sustained effort. This explains why willpower alone rarely creates lasting change. You're fighting against deeply embedded subconscious broadcast patterns. Subconscious beliefs create automatic broadcast patterns that filter your perception and guide your behavior beyond awareness. If you subconsciously believe life is a struggle, your brain's reticular activating system will continuously find evidence to support this belief, filtering out contradictory data and creating a self-reinforcing loop that manifests as persistent challenging circumstances. The good news is that neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to reorganize neural pathways throughout life, makes reprogramming possible at any age. Research has shown that consistent mental rehearsal creates new neural networks that eventually become automatic, replacing old limiting patterns with empowering ones. To identify your current subconscious programs, examine recurring patterns in your life. Areas where you consistently struggle despite conscious effort often reveal subconscious interference. Relationships that repeatedly follow the same disappointing script, financial patterns that persist despite changed behaviors, or health issues that resist treatment may all point to subconscious programming needing revision. Once identified, transform these limiting beliefs through several research-backed approaches. First, practice conscious reframing, deliberately interpreting events through new, empowering perspectives until this viewpoint becomes automatic. For example, transform "I always struggle financially" to "I'm learning to create abundance with increasing ease." Next, use visualization with embodied emotion, the most direct language of the subconscious. For 5 minutes daily, vividly imagine successfully experiencing what you currently struggle with, while generating genuine emotions of gratitude and satisfaction. These emotionally charged mental rehearsals create new neural pathways that eventually become your default programming. Third, implement pattern interruption techniques. When you catch yourself in habitual limiting thoughts or behaviors, physically change your state, stand up, move differently, change your facial expression. This breaks the automatic circuit and creates space to insert new programming. Finally, practice belief integration through consistent small actions. Take regular steps that align with your new desired beliefs, however tiny. These consistent actions create evidence that convinces your subconscious that the new program is valid and operational. The alignment between conscious and subconscious intentions creates powerful coherence in your quantum broadcast. When these two aspects of mind work in harmony rather than opposition, manifestation accelerates dramatically. You're no longer sending mixed signals into the field, but broadcasting clear, consistent frequencies that attract matching experiences. Remember that subconscious reprogramming isn't about forcing change through willpower. It's about speaking the natural language of the subconscious imagery, emotion, repetition, and embodied experience to rewrite core programming that then broadcasts automatically into the quantum field. As you implement these practices consistently, you'll notice a profound shift. What once required constant conscious effort becomes your natural state. Your internal broadcast aligns with your deepest intentions, and the living matrix responds accordingly, reflecting back the coherent signal you've established at your core. Chapter 7. The Mirror Principle, Reality as Reflection. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to consistently experience the same patterns in life? The person who always feels betrayed somehow attracts untrustworthy people. The individual who expects the worst typically encounters more problems than others. Meanwhile, those who move through life with authentic joy often find reasons to celebrate at every turn. This isn't coincidence, it's the mirror principle in action. Reality is like a mirror. It does not smile first, but waits for you to smile. Your external world will not shift until your internal state shifts first. Everything you experience is reflecting something back to you about your own consciousness. The circumstances in your life aren't randomly imposed from outside, but are energetic reflections of your internal states. Consider the electromagnetic field generated by your heart and brain. Research from the HeartMath Institute has demonstrated that these fields extend several feet beyond your physical body, carrying information about your emotional states. These fields interact with the quantum field, creating resonant patterns that eventually manifest as your tangible experiences. When you consistently broadcast fear, doubt, or scarcity, the field reflects experiences that match these frequencies. This isn't about blame or shame, it's about recognizing your creative power. Just as a mirror doesn't judge the image it reflects, the quantum field doesn't judge what you're broadcasting. It simply responds with perfect fidelity to your dominant vibrations, the thoughts, emotions, and beliefs you consistently hold. To work with this principle effectively, begin viewing your life's circumstances as feedback rather than punishment or reward. That challenging relationship isn't happening to you, it's happening for you, revealing aspects of yourself that need attention. Financial struggles often reflect beliefs about unworthiness or scarcity that have become embedded in your subconscious. Health issues frequently correspond to areas where your energy is blocked by unprocessed emotions or stress. When you encounter patterns you don't prefer, ask yourself, what might this be reflecting back to me? What frequency am I consistently broadcasting that's creating this experience? This simple shift transforms you from victim to creator, from passive recipient to active participant in your reality. It's important to understand the delay factor between internal shifts and external manifestation. The quantum field responds instantly, but physical reality has momentum like a large ship that takes time to change course. This delay can cause many to abandon their inner work prematurely, concluding that nothing is happening. In truth, everything is happening, it's simply not yet visible in the physical dimension. To navigate this delay period effectively, Practice maintaining internal coherence despite external appearances. This means holding your new state of being even when current circumstances haven't yet caught up. Continue emanating the frequency of abundance even while looking at a low bank balance. Embody the energy of health while symptoms are still present. Feel the reality of fulfilling relationships even amid current loneliness. A powerful practice for working with the mirror principle is what I call energetic precedence. Each morning, before engaging with the world, set the energetic tone for your day. Take 5 minutes to embody the feelings of your desired reality not as wishful thinking, but as present moment experience. Feel gratitude, joy, abundance, or whatever qualities you wish to experience more of, as if they're already your reality. Throughout the day, check your reflection. When circumstances trigger old patterns, pause and recalibrate your internal state before responding. Remember that you're not reacting to the situation, you're responding to your reflection. By changing your state first, you change what the mirror can reflect back. The mirror principle isn't about denying challenges or adopting toxic positivity. It's about recognizing that your point of power is always within. External circumstances may take time to shift, but your internal reality can change in an instant. And when it does, the mirror of reality has no choice but to eventually reflect that change back to you. Chapter 8: Breaking the Illusion Beyond the Matrix of Limitation. What if everything you believe about reality is actually a sophisticated illusion, a kind of matrix created not by machines, but by the limitations of your own sensory system and the collective agreements of human society? This isn't science fiction, it's emerging as the frontier where quantum physics meets neuroscience. Our perceptions of the world are filtered through illusions created by our senses and cognitive biases, suggesting we might be living in a matrix of our own making. Your brain receives approximately 11 million bits of sensory information every second, yet you're consciously aware of only about 40 bits. This means you're filtering out 99.9996% of available information before it reaches your conscious awareness. This filtration happens through what neuroscientists call your reality tunnel, a personalized lens shaped by your beliefs, past experiences, cultural conditioning, and biological limitations. Everything you perceive passes through this tunnel, creating not an objective picture of reality, but a highly curated and subjective version that supports your existing beliefs. Consider the visible light spectrum. Human eyes detect only a tiny fraction of available electromagnetic radiation. Infrared and ultraviolet light, radio waves, and cosmic rays are just as real as visible light, yet completely invisible to our biological hardware. Similarly, we hear only a narrow range of sound frequencies. Dogs, whales, and bats live in sonic landscapes we can't even imagine. This physical limitation extends to our cognitive processes as well. Consensus reality, what most people agree is real, is maintained through collective belief systems reinforced through language, education, media, and social norms. From early childhood, we're taught what's possible and what's impossible, what to focus on and what to ignore, effectively programming our reality tunnels to match the dominant paradigm. The it from bit theory proposed by physicist John Wheeler suggests that at its core, physical reality is not material but informational. Everything we experience as solid matter is actually information interpreting itself through consciousness. This revolutionary concept implies that consciousness isn't produced by the brain, but is fundamental to reality itself, with physical matter being the derivative phenomenon. Breaking free from programmed perceptual constraints begins with recognizing that you're not seeing reality, you're seeing your program's interpretation of reality. This awareness creates a crack in the matrix, allowing you to question the limitations you've accepted without examination. Start by conducting a belief inventory. Write down 10 fundamental beliefs you hold about reality, such as money is hard to earn, or some people are just lucky. For each belief, ask, is this absolutely true? How do I know? Who would I be without this belief? This practice inspired by Byron Katie's inquiry method, helps identify the invisible constraints limiting your experience. Next, practice pattern interruption. When you catch yourself in habitual perceptions this always happens to me, or that's impossible, physically change your state. Stand up, move differently, change your breathing pattern. This breaks the neurological loop that keeps your perception fixed, creating space for new perspectives to emerge. A powerful technique for expanding beyond conventional reality frameworks is reality tunneling, deliberately adopting different perspectives to experience how they alter your perception. For one day, view the world through the lens of abundance, seeing opportunities everywhere. The next day, adopt the perspective that everything is conspiring in your favor. Notice how these viewpoint shifts literally change what you perceive and experience. Advanced practitioners can explore the edges of consensus reality through consciousness technologies like meditation, breath work, or sound journeys. These practices temporarily disrupt your ordinary filtering mechanisms, allowing glimpses beyond your program parameters. When returning to ordinary awareness, you bring back insights that help reconfigure your reality tunnel. Remember that breaking free from the matrix isn't about escaping reality, it's about experiencing more of it. By recognizing the constructive nature of your perception, you gain the freedom to construct differently. You move from being imprisoned by unconscious programs to becoming the conscious programmer of your experience. The quantum field responds not to what you want, but to what you believe is possible. By expanding your sense of possibility, literally redesigning your reality tunnel, you open doorways to experiences that were always available but filtered from your awareness. The matrix of limitation begins to dissolve, revealing the boundless field of potential that was always there, waiting to be perceived. Chapter 9. The Art of Detachment, Surrender, and Allow. There's a seeming paradox at the heart of manifestation that confuses many seekers. How can you simultaneously desire something and detach from it? Isn't that contradiction? This confusion dissolves when you understand that detachment is not about giving up desire, but releasing the need to control outcomes, allowing the quantum field to respond to certainty rather than desperation. Many spiritual traditions teach some version of surrender, yet it remains one of the most misunderstood principles. Detachment doesn't mean becoming emotionally numb or passively accepting whatever happens. It means releasing the stranglehold of attachment while maintaining clear intention, a subtle but crucial distinction that transforms how reality responds to you. Why does attachment block the flow of manifestation? Because attachment carries an energetic signature of lack. When you're attached to an outcome, you're broadcasting, "I don't have this, and I need it to be okay." This frequency of absence and need is what the quantum field reflects back, perpetuating the very lack you're trying to overcome. Your attachment becomes a form of resistance that actually pushes away what you desire. The law of detachment recognizes that the quantum field operates through resonance, not through effort or struggle. As author Neville Goddard famously taught, manifestation occurs most powerfully from the feeling of wish fulfilled, the inner knowing that what you desire is already accomplished in consciousness. This state cannot coexist with attachment because attachment always implies separation from your desire. To practice detachment while maintaining clear intention, begin by recognizing that your desires serve as directional signals rather than emotional necessities. They point the way toward expansion, but aren't required for your worth or wholeness. This simple shift from "I need this to be complete" to "I desire this" as an expression of my expansion changes everything about your energetic broadcast. Next, practice what I call conscious allowing, deliberately creating space for your desire to manifest in ways that might surprise you. This means letting go of rigid expectations about how and when your desire should appear. The quantum field often delivers through unexpected channels, bringing opportunities that your limited perspective couldn't foresee. By releasing attachment to the form and timing, you open to possibilities beyond your imagination. The paradox of acting as though desires are already manifested is that it requires surrender. To genuinely feel the reality of something not yet physically present requires releasing resistance to its absence. This creates the energetic alignment that allows manifestation to flow. When you truly embody the feeling state of your fulfilled desire not as pretense, but as genuine inner experience, you're signaling to the quantum field that manifestation is already complete on the energetic level. This explains why gratitude for what hasn't yet materialized is so powerful. When you feel sincere gratitude for something still in process, you're transcending time itself. You're operating from the quantum realm where all possibilities exist simultaneously, rather than from linear time where lack seems real. This gratitude isn't a technique for getting what you want, it's the natural response when you realize that everything exists in potential, waiting only for your alignment to make it manifest. Developing trust in universal intelligence forms the foundation for genuine detachment. This trust emerges from understanding that the universe isn't separate from you, but is the expanded version of your own consciousness. When you trust the process, you're trusting yourself at the deepest level, recognizing that the same intelligence that keeps your heart beating and the planets orbiting is orchestrating your manifestations. A powerful practice for cultivating this trust is what I call the retrospective miracle. Reflect on past situations where things didn't go as planned, yet ultimately unfolded better than you could have arranged. Notice how apparent setbacks often led to unexpected opportunities. Remember times when not getting what you wanted actually protected you from less optimal outcomes. This practice builds your confidence in the perfection of universal timing and wisdom. When you combine clear intention with detached allowing, you enter a state of relaxed alertness, actively participating in creation without the tension of trying to control it. You plant the seed of intention firmly, then allow natural forces to nurture its growth. Your role shifts from struggling manifester to conscious participant in the universe's creative process. The art of detachment ultimately teaches us that we don't need to make things happen, we need to allow them to happen through us. We learn to distinguish between the ego's agenda, with its attachments and fears, and our deeper desires that align with universal flow. As you master this art, manifestation transforms from effortful work to natural expression, not something you do, but something you allow. Chapter 10. Conscious Creation, Becoming an Active Participant. You've likely heard the expression, life happens to you versus life happens for you. But there's an even more empowering perspective. Life happens through you. This final chapter brings together everything you've learned, revealing how to live not as a passive observer, hoping for better circumstances, but as an active participant whose consciousness is intricately linked to the energy your subconscious projects. Conscious creation begins with alignment, bringing your thoughts, emotions, and actions into coherent harmony rather than contradiction. Most manifestation efforts fail due to misalignment between these elements. You may consciously think positive thoughts about prosperity while emotionally feeling anxious about finances and behaviorally making decisions from scarcity. This creates an incoherent signal that the quantum field cannot clearly respond to. True alignment occurs when all aspects of your being broadcast the same frequency. Your thoughts affirm abundance. Your emotions genuinely feel abundant, and your actions reflect this abundance consciousness. This coherence amplifies your signal exponentially, creating what physicist David Bohm called an implicate order that eventually unfolds into tangible experience. Achieving this alignment requires moving from wanting to being. Wanting always implies separation. You want what you don't have. Being, by contrast, embodies the state from which your desire naturally emerges. Instead of wanting financial freedom, you cultivate the inner state of someone who is financially free, making decisions, responding to opportunities, and relating to money from that perspective. This isn't pretending, but shifting your point of identification from lack to fulfillment. This shift is facilitated through a practice I call future self-integration. Vividly imagine your future self who has already manifested what you're creating. Notice how this version of you thinks, feels, and acts. What perspectives do they hold? What choices do they make? What inner state do they embody? Then begin deliberately adopting these qualities now, creating coherence between your current and future self. As you establish this coherence, synchronicities will increase meaningful coincidences that confirm your alignment. You'll notice unexpected opportunities, fortuitous meetings, or resources appearing just when needed. These aren't random events, but feedback from the quantum field, showing you that your conscious creation is in process. Recognizing these synchronicities as confirmation strengthens your trust in the process, creating a positive feedback loop of increased alignment and manifestation. Many people dismiss synchronicities as mere coincidence, missing the profound guidance they offer. Start documenting these events in a synchronicity journal. As patterns emerge, you'll develop a personal language of signs and symbols through which the universe communicates with you. This practice strengthens your recognition that you're in constant dialogue with the quantum field, co-creating your reality through this ongoing exchange. Living as a conscious creator rather than a passive experiencer means taking full responsibility for your energetic output. This isn't about blame, but about recognizing your creative power. When unwanted circumstances appear, rather than feeling victimized, you ask, how am I creating this experience? What did I learn from it? How can I shift my energy to create differently? This responsibility extends to your moment-to-moment awareness. Conscious creators practice what I call energetic hygiene, regularly checking their vibrational output and adjusting as needed. Just as you wouldn't let garbage accumulate in your home, don't allow mental, emotional, or energetic debris to accumulate in your field. Regular practices like meditation, energy clearing, or intentional reset moments throughout the day maintain your creative clarity. The most advanced aspect of conscious creation is recognizing that you're not creating alone. You're participating in a collective field where 8 billion other consciousness points are also creating. This doesn't diminish your creative power, but contextualizes it. Some areas allow for relatively independent creation, while others involve complex co-creative processes with others. Discerning the difference develops your manifestation maturity. This co-creative understanding leads to more compassionate creation, setting intentions that benefit the whole rather than just yourself. As your consciousness expands, you naturally begin creating from a perspective that considers collective well-being. Your personal desires align with universal principles of growth, harmony, and expansion, making your creative process exponentially more powerful. The ultimate realization of conscious creation is that you're not separate from what you're creating. The observer and the observed, the creator and the created, are aspects of the same consciousness expressing through different forms. When this non-dual understanding permeates your creative process, manifestation becomes less about getting something external and more about revealing what's already present in potential form. In this final stage, conscious creation becomes effortless presence. You're no longer trying to create reality, but allowing reality to create through you. Your subconscious programming aligns with your conscious intentions. Your personal desires harmonize with universal intelligence, and hidden energy awakens within you. You discover that you were never separate from your desires. You were always the source from which they emerged, waiting to be recognized. As you've discovered throughout this journey, the Quantum Enlivenment Code isn't a formula to control reality, but an invitation to become fully conscious within it. When you understand that your life stops being a reaction and becomes a conscious creation, everything changes. The matrix softens and reveals that it was never separate. It was always alive with you, responding to you, evolving through you. The quantum field doesn't differentiate between what you want and what you don't want. It simply reflects the frequencies you consistently embody. Every thought, emotion, and belief broadcasts a signal that the field faithfully mirrors back. This mirroring isn't punishment or reward, but the perfect operation of a responsive universe, showing you exactly what you're creating. Remember that challenges aren't obstacles but tests of alignment, confirming whether your new vibration is stable. Each test becomes an opportunity to reinforce your vibrational coherence. When old patterns reappear, recognize them as feedback rather than failure chances to deepen your commitment to your new state of being. These moments reveal where unconscious programs still operate, allowing you to bring them into awareness for transformation. As you continue working with these principles, you'll find reality becoming more fluid, more responsive. The delay between inner shift and outer manifestation will shorten. Synchronicities will multiply. The boundary between what you imagine and what you experience will grow increasingly permeable. This isn't magical thinking, but the natural result of aligning your conscious and subconscious mind with quantum principles. The ultimate realization isn't that you can manipulate reality to match your desires, but that reality was never separate from your consciousness to begin with. The observer effect, quantum entanglement, the mirror principle, these aren't just interesting theories, but glimpses into the fundamental nature of existence. You are not in the universe. The universe is expressing through you as you. This understanding doesn't diminish your individuality, but contextualizes it within a greater whole. Your unique perspective, desires, and creative impulses are how the universe experiences itself from your particular vantage point. By fully embodying your authentic self, you allow the universe to know itself through your unique expression. As you practice these principles, you'll find reality bending around you, reflecting the energy you emit. That is the secret few understand, but once unlocked, changes everything. You'll move beyond manifesting specific outcomes to manifesting states of being from which desired outcomes naturally emerge. You'll shift from seeking to finding, from wanting to having, from becoming to being. The Quantum Enlivenment Code is always operating, whether you're conscious of it or not. By bringing it into awareness, you've taken the first step toward conscious participation in the living matrix of reality. Continue exploring, experimenting, and expanding. Trust the process, embrace the journey, and remember, you are not merely discovering how reality works. You are discovering how you work as reality. Thank you for experiencing the Quantum Enlivenment Code. If these insights have resonated with you, please subscribe to Audiobook's library for more transformational content. The journey you've begun doesn't end with the conclusion of this audiobook. It continues as you implement these teachings in your daily life, observing how reality responds to your evolving consciousness. Remember that integration happens through consistent practice, not perfect understanding. Start with what resonates most strongly and build your quantum fluency step by step. Until then, continue exploring the living matrix of reality, not as a concept to be understood, but as a field to be experienced. The quantum field awaits your conscious participation. The code has always been within you, waiting to be enlivened through your awareness. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery and transformation.